Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Gee, it's depressing how often these crappy people get put in management positions where they can ruin everything. You want me to work the same hours every week? Sure. In my previous job, I reported directly into one of the company's directors who generally trusted me to get on with the job and manage myself. This included setting my own work hours, which varied week to week due to company needs, and also my own. Anyway, got a new manager, NM, that was in between me and the director, / now former manager, FM, I reported to. They were the sort of person that felt the need to micromanage and be in control of everything, despite having little to no understanding of what I do and why my hours need to be flexible. Now, new manager was purely office-based, so setting regular hours that they worked each week was easy. As such, they expected the same of me, and I know exactly the hours I'd be working each and every day. Me. Okay, seems reasonable. I'll let you know at the end of each week what hours I'll be working the next week. NM. Not good enough. You should work the same hours each week to make it simpler. I voiced my concerns and that I change my hours based on the needs of the business. NM. Well, that can be discussed on a case-by-case basis. All right, we'll see how that goes. A few weeks later. Me. NM, I'll be leaving early next Friday evening as I'm going to my parents' house for the weekend to celebrate my father's birthday. I've already arranged cover and you don't need to worry about anything. NM, unacceptable. That's inside your scheduled work hours. Me, that's unreasonable. It's no inconvenience to you and I'm giving you plenty of notice. NM, if you want to leave early, you have to book the entire day off as holiday. Now, I don't want to use an entire day's holiday when I only need to finish a couple hours early, and I see the case-by-case basis we talked about was only ever to benefit the company, but I also see the opportunity for some malicious compliance. One of many I had with NM. Me. Okay, fair enough, but I think we need a written agreement of these work hours so we have something to reference in situations like this. NM. Absolutely. Seems like a great idea. A few weeks later, NM emails me. NM. Hi, OP. Now, I know you don't work Thursdays, but there's an important meeting I need you to attend. You can take this as time in lieu at a later date. Just get my approval first. Me. Sorry, NM, no can do. That's not inside my scheduled work hours we'd agreed upon. Please see your prior email. NM. This isn't negotiable. You must attend. If you refuse, I'll have to inform FM that you refuse, and I will have to start disciplinary action. Me. I'm sorry, it's not within my scheduled work hours, and I have plans. I don't. If you need to inform FM, then unfortunately you will have to do so. Anyway, having worked under FM for a couple years, I know exactly what's going to happen next. FM gives me a call, asks why I'm refusing. I explain the situation, and he says he'll talk to NM. FM obviously gives NM a bit of bullocking, and the next day, NM pulls me aside and says they're happy to go back to the previous arrangement I had with FM, provided I attend the meeting. Me, not a problem. On that note, I'll be leaving early Friday. I walked away, NM looked furious, but knew they couldn't do anything about it. I had nowhere to be, just wanted to make a point. And our second story. He's not a doctor. Yes, he is. I saw him on TV. So I've had a friend since college who's a great guy. I love him to pieces, but I've occasionally considered ending the friendship because his wife is so jarringly dumb. For the life of me, I don't know what he gets from her. Okay, I do. She's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in real life. But even still, I don't know how he does it. She's sweet, she means well, but there are sandwiches more intellectually stimulating. A while back, I had a friend visiting, Camden, and she was dropping her kids by to hang out with me. I invited her to stay for a bite to eat because, yes, she's exquisitely dumb, but she's perfectly friendly. Camden's been trying to break into acting, and he recently had a bit part on a TV medical drama, so I brought it up, saying Camden just recently had a small role as a doctor on this show. She went, that's so exciting, congratulations. That must not be easy to get a job there. So what kind of doctor are you? And he explained, it was a very minor role. I didn't get a specialty or anything. I didn't even get a name. And she laughed and went, well, we all feel that way when we first start, regardless of what job. Just keep working hard and you'll get all that stuff over time. But don't sell yourself short. It's not easy to be a doctor. And he took the compliment and went into how he went about playing the role, the body language he tried to adopt for the intensive care unit, that sort of stuff. Then she cut him off and went, "Actually, you know what? If you wouldn't mind, my son has actually had this oblong cyst developing on the small of his back for a couple weeks now. I'd really appreciate it if you could take a look." So we both laughed, thinking she was joking, and I was impressed with her uncharacteristically high-level joke, but then she actually started to call her son over. It's just like her to start a funny joke and then take it way too far. Camden, confused and weirded out by the whole thing, started saying, "Oh, no, hey, they didn't teach us any medical stuff for the part. I can't, help you with this." I jumped in and changed the subject, but she left shortly after. I'd long since given up on trying to explain to her why some jokes are funny and others are not, so I thought I'd let it be, even though she seemed kind of miffed when she left. Later, she came back to pick her kids up, and by then Camden had gone home. As she was leaving, she remarked, "You know, it was very rude of your friend not to at least look at my son's cyst. It would have taken him 10 seconds. I hate how doctors think they're above helping anyone else unless they're getting a check. Didn't they take an oath to always help anyone who needs medical advice or something?" So as I processed the pure bitterness in her voice, I realized she genuinely and truly thought Camden was a medical doctor. So convinced I must be misunderstanding her, I further reiterated, no, he's an actor. He played a doctor on that show. You've seen the show. It's not a small production. It's like Grey's Anatomy or House. Everyone knows it. And even angrier now, she said, "Of course I have. I know all about it. It's one of the best hospitals in the country. Why do you think they put it on TV?" Being in the spotlight like that, you'd think he'd try to be a little more professional with people. That's all I'm saying. The surreal mix of entitlement and delusion in her statement left me dumbstruck, and I decided I must be misinterpreting this somehow, because there was no way any grown adult who votes, drives, works, and has kids of her own is that stupid. Not even her. So I just let her leave rather than risk offending her or embarrassing myself. As soon as she was gone, I called my friend, her husband, to try and catch him before she was home. I relayed the whole series of events to him, and his response, "Oh, that? Yeah, it's a problem. But it's not entirely her fault. Oftentimes those shows use stories ripped from the headlines of the actual news, you know? So you can see why she gets mixed up sometimes." She bumped into Camden at my anniversary party not too long later and asked him with genuine concern if a character on the show who'd been in an accident, again on the show, was recovering well. He tried telling her in plainer terms, "I don't work there. I'm not a doctor. I just played one that one time." And she said she was sorry to hear he'd been let go, and where was he working now? So if you wonder how our country ended up where we are, know that she has a bachelor's degree from an accredited college and holds a job with several subordinates and partially responsible over our city's water supply. And our next story. Manager refuses to accommodate my disability and is hostile to me. I'm a deaf woman working at a car dealership in Colorado. I'm an admin assistant and my boss is the office manager. I've been there for 5 months now. My boss has been giving me verbal-based training, which is not ideal for my disability. Still, I'm always willing to take the initiative to fill in the gaps by asking her questions. Most of the time, my questions are received with hostility in the form of eye rolls and curt and vague answers. Her nasty attitude towards me has made herself unapproachable, and I'm compelled to figure things out on my own to avoid being treated in a hostile manner by her. She contradicts herself a lot and berates me over every little mistake I make. I feel lost because I received inadequate training, verbal-based training, with no written documentation whatsoever, and instead of being given the information I need in order to do my job to the best of my ability, I'm being belittled and bullied by her. She actively singles me out to bully as she's cordial to everyone else and is only cruel to me behind closed doors. She also takes advantage of my deafness and openly complains about me literally behind my back. I wear a hearing aid and can hear better than she thinks. I brought my issues with her to her boss's attention. He was very responsive and spoke with my boss about the way she's been treating me. He also mentioned that he told my boss a few months ago to give me written documentation to accommodate my disability. My boss never did that. Since he talked to her, she's been treating me worse than usual. She obviously was breaking laws like ADA's failure to accommodate. hostile work environment, and even possibly disability discrimination, I went to her boss again and decided to bring a lawyer into the mix. Guess who has a new boss now? It was easier than I thought. And our last story. My friend is leaving an HOA. If you buy a house within an HOA, you agree to the HOA's jurisdiction. If you agree to make anybody who buys the house from you also sign up to the HOA. However, my friend is doing, or attempting to do, the impossible, and that is removing a house from the HOA's jurisdiction. My friend inherited a house from her father, who recently just passed away. She decided to move out of her apartment and live in the house, seeing as it's not much farther away from her workplace. She didn't know that a HOA was in the area and received an unexpected visit from the HOA's president. Here's how the conversation went down, as she told me. President: hello, how are you? I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a great neighbor and member of this community. Friend: thank you. President: I've come by to welcome you to the neighborhood and leave behind a copy of the HOA's rules and regulations. Our meeting times are blah, blah, blah. It was all very polite stuff, and my friend remembers her dad not having too much trouble with the HOA for most of his time there. However, he had been griping more and more about them up until his death, and it just so happens the new HOA president was one of those slime balls that would be very polite to you as a first impression, but enjoyed nitpicking for the smallest breaches of rules and talking over everybody at local meetings. My friend wanted to avoid that at all costs, so she began to study the HOA literature. And then she realized she never joined the HOA when she inherited the house. The HOA, and most HOAs I assume, have clauses for property changing hands via a sale, but not the inheritance of property. A HOA couldn't prevent you from taking ownership of a house if you refused to join it, could it? Well, that's what my friend's attempted to do. She's been in the house for just over a month and has stated her intention to not join the HOA directly to the president. The president initially laughed in her face and stated that she had already joined, but a few days later he returned with paperwork and 2 flunkies alongside, insisting she sign and that her father had a lien on the house due to some minor infraction. She told the president that she would simply pay the fine and remain out of the HOA, but the president stated that the HOA's regulations prevented him from giving non-members an accounting file, even though the president's position is that she's already a member of the HOA. So if she would just please sign on the dotted line and not read too much. She promptly threw them out and contacted a lawyer who agrees with her interpretation of events. A HOA cannot force somebody who inherited land within its jurisdiction to join the HOA. If they sell, of course, if they put the house in the name of their kids to avoid inheritance tax, of course, because these are things the house's new owner consents to. But if you inherit a house in a HOA, it's your choice. So my friend has finally managed to pull a property out of the grasp of a HOA. And the only thing it took was human sacrifice. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.